What if I told you? Your words could cost someone their life. A millionaire laughed and said, "Translate this, and my entire fortune is yours." It seemed like a simple task. But the moment the maid spoke, his world shattered. What she revealed was not just a translation. It was a warning. A secret buried in shadows, and a debt he could never pay with money. By the time he realized the truth, it was already too late. Stay with us, because what happens next will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about wealth and fear. The chandelier above the marble hall flickered softly. Golden curtains swayed in the evening wind that slipped through the tall windows. A grand piano sat untouched, its black surface reflecting the firelight. The millionaire leaned back in his velvet chair. A glass of red wine in his hand, he smirked, his eyes fixed on the timid maid standing with lowered gaze. On the polished oak table lay a single sheet of paper. Its edges were yellow, its ink faded, yet the words written carried weight. He tapped the paper with a jeweled finger. "Translate this," he said, laughter curling around his words. "My entire fortune could be yours. If you manage." The maid's hands trembled as she reached for it. The fire crackled, casting long shadows that danced on the walls. The scent of old books and dust filled her lungs. Her heart pounded, the sound echoing in her own ears. She unfolded the paper slowly, her eyes scanning the strange, twisted script. The millionaire raised his brows, certain she would fail. But the maid whispered. Her lips moved with a fluency that made the room fall silent. Every syllable rolled from her tongue as if she had spoken this language since birth. Words filled the hall, sharp and melodic, each one heavy with hidden meaning. The millionaire's grin froze. The glass slipped from his hand and shattered against the marble floor. Wine spread like blood across the white stone. The maid's voice grew louder, stronger, as though the paper itself breathed through her. The fire surged higher, the chandelier trembled, and the shadows gathered like figures listening. The millionaire's eyes widened, his skin pale. He whispered, barely audible, "How do you know that language?" The maid lifted her gaze for the first time. Her eyes glowed with something he had never seen before, and then she spoke the translation. Word by word, each phrase slicing through the silence like a knife. The millionaire staggered back, clutching the edge of his chair for balance. The air turned heavy, pressing against his chest. The last word left her lips. The hall fell into absolute stillness, and his jaw dropped. What she had translated was not a simple. The staircase ended in a wide chamber, its walls slick with damp stone. Faint torches flickered, revealing rows of carved symbols. The air was thick, suffocating, carrying the scent of something long dead. The millionaire's pulse raced. He stepped forward, each footstep echoing like a drum of warning. The shadows shifted. The scratching noise rose again, now joined by faint whispers in a language he could not comprehend. He saw them then, figures, hunched and faceless, circling the room. Their hands reached out but never touched, as if testing his courage. The paper in his hand trembled. The maid stood at the entrance, calm and commanding. "Translate the rest," she urged. He forced himself to read, his voice shaking. The words spoke of betrayal, of greed, of a debt that could never be repaid by wealth alone. A cold wind whipped through the chamber, extinguishing the torches. Darkness swallowed him, then a single phrase glowed on the wall before his eyes. "Your soul is the payment." He froze. The shadows surged forward. Hands grabbed at him from all directions, icy and unyielding. The chamber echoed with the maid's voice. Soft yet unrelenting, "Do you understand now? Wealth cannot buy freedom." The millionaire's scream was cut short. The paper fell, landing with the ink blurred and unreadable. When the torchlight returned moments later, the chamber was empty. The staircase had vanished. Only the faint echo of whispers remained. The maid stood in the hall above, serene. She smiled faintly, and the millionaire's fortune was hers, but his presence was gone. The house was silent once more, yet the shadows waited, always waiting. Days passed, yet the hall remained silent. The chandeliers no longer flickered, and the golden curtains hung still. The house seemed ordinary again, but a tension lingered in the air. The maid moved through the rooms as if nothing had happened. Her steps light, deliberate. She polished the marble floors, arranged the books and tended to the fire, yet the paper lay folded neatly on the oak table, untouched. No one dared open it. No one needed to. A shadow lingered in the corners, subtle, watching. The mansion had returned to its quiet grandeur, but it had changed. It held a secret now, a memory of what had been claimed. The maid smiled faintly, almost imperceptibly. She knew the truth. Some debts are paid with gold, some with something far more precious, and the millionaire would never be forgotten. The wind whispered through the halls, carrying a warning in a language only she could understand.